in the fight between Khizr Khan, whose son, Captain Khan, was killed in Iraq fighting for the U.S. military, and Donald Trump, there have been Republicans who've come out on the side of the Khans, and they should be given credit. So Khizr Khan, the father, asked Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell to basically denounce Donald Trump on this issue, and they have. They said that, you know, the sacrifice of the Khan family is incredibly important and should be cherished. And furthermore, they disagree with Donald Trump on banning Muslims from the country or using a religious test like that. So credit to Ryan and McConnell on that. Even Mike Pence, who is the running mate of Donald Trump, has tried to walk back the comments and says, "Oh, but Captain Khan's a hero." Like, you could almost sense in his wording, like, "Oh, what am I going to do with this knucklehead who's at the top of the ticket?" No. We're in favor of fallen heroes and their families. But I wanted to share one special editorial with you guys. And it's from John McCain. He wrote a letter that I thought was very touching. These are the great moments of John McCain, who also, by the way, was a captain, but in the Navy. He wrote, "In recent days, Donald Trump disparaged the fallen soldiers' parents. He has suggested that the likes of their sons should not be allowed in the United States, to say nothing of entering its service. I cannot emphasize enough how deeply I disagree with Mr. Trump's statement. I hope Americans understand that the remarks do not represent the views of our Republican Party, its officers, or candidates." Well, on that last part, I'm going to disagree with you a little bit. The fact that it doesn't represent your views, you're making clear, and I commend you for it, and that's why I'm doing this segment. But it apparently does represent the views of the Republican voters, or enough of them that put him at the top of your ticket. So don't pretend that you're not in that party that holds those views, because you are. Now, nonetheless, don't get me wrong. Majority of this is about a great, great letter from John McCain, who did the right thing here. So he goes on to say, "Captain Khan's death in Iraq on June 8, 2004 was a shining example of the valor and bravery inculcated into our military. When a suicide bomber accelerated his vehicle toward a facility with hundreds of American soldiers, Captain Khan ordered his subordinates away from the danger. Then he ran toward it. The suicide bomber, striking prematurely, claimed the life of Captain Khan, and Captain Khan, through his selfless action and sacrifice, saved the lives of hundreds of his brothers and sisters." Now, sometimes you'll see stories of fallen soldiers where it is unbelievable valor. And so even if this story is only a quarter true, it's still 1,000 times braver than anything I've done, let alone Donald Trump. So when you think of what he has done, the idea of criticizing him and his parents is unspeakable. Yet Donald Trump is talking about how his father, Khizr Khan, viciously attacked him, that he is the victim. And he's saying, yeah, I would keep you out of the country, and I would have kept your son out of the country because of radical Islamic terror. And so I'm throwing you in the same lot as the people we're fighting, even though you were fighting for us and died for us. The degree to which that is loathsome is indescribable. And when you hear what Captain Khan did, it becomes even more stark. Then McCain quotes the Bible. He says, "Scripture tells us that, quote, greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends." And you know, if the Republican Party was still a party of values and claims to be following the Judeo-Christian heritage, you might want to follow that part of the Judeo-Christian heritage. McCain went on to say about Captain Khan, "His name will live forever in American memory as an example of true American greatness." So now on to Trump. He says, "It is time for Donald Trump to set the example of our country, for our country and the future of the Republican Party. While our party has bestowed upon him the nomination, it is not accompanied by unfettered license to defame those who are the best among us." So this is an excellent repudiation of Donald Trump from someone who I greatly disagree with on many issues. You know, if you've watched this show, you see the parts that I've given John McCain credit for and the parts that I have criticized him on. But every once in a while, John McCain does something so courageous that you go, well, I salute you, my captain. And it's certainly what he did in the Vietnam War. And if you're not familiar with John McCain's story, I know a lot of you are, but just real quick, it wasn't just that he was captured. As Donald Trump said, I prefer people who weren't captured in war. By the way, Donald Trump accomplished that mission by not going to Vietnam in the first place. He got a medical deferment. Then later, at the age of 70, as he was running for president, his doctor said he was in excellent shape. What happened to all your medical problems when you were a young guy, Donald, and you used it as an excuse to get out of Vietnam? You ran, and then he said, well, I went to a lot of sex parties at the time, and avoiding STDs was my own personal Vietnam. That's what he said. Now, McCain wasn't just captured. That's not what made him a hero. When they told him that he could go because they found out he was the son of a high-ranking admiral in the U.S. Army, and they wanted to use that for propaganda, McCain said, I will not leave without my fellow soldiers. He voluntarily stayed. You see, that's a hero. So please, Donald Trump, save us anything about the Khan family or John McCain. Just, I know you have no decency, but have a little bit of wisdom to at least avoid this topic. But I want to leave on a note from McCain to the Khan family. He said, lastly, I'd like to say that Mr. and Mrs. Khan, thank you for immigrating to America. We're a better country because of you, and you are certainly right. Your son was the best of America, and the memory of his sacrifice will make us a better nation, and he will never be forgotten. That's an American that doesn't care at this moment, at a moment that matters, about party. He has in other cases, but here, all the credit in the world to John McCain.